What's going on, guys? So today I'm actually going to show you how to take and structure a sales call as a high ticket closer. Pretty much the framework that I've been using now for over a year as a closer. You know, I get so many people ask me, Conrad, how do I actually take a call? So get out your notebooks and pens because I am about to put you on some fucking game here. I want you to be able, after this call, to know how to take a sales call, how to structure it, get yourself a role and be able to close deals. So straight off the bat, right? I like to call this the Nexus framework because Nexus means a connection between two or more things. See, as a salesperson, right, it is your job to jump onto a call and connect with the prospect. You want to connect with them. Salespeople get a bad rep, right? Because there is some sleazebags out there and some slimy cunts. But as a salesperson, your job is to change the perspective, build connections, and genuinely help this person, which is what you want to do. So that's why I like to call this the Nexus framework, because you're building a connection with this person. So you break it down into every step, right? This is exactly what the frame looks like. First of all, you've got your intro to the call. Second part is your information gathering, current situation. Then you have information gathering, past situation. Then we have information gathering, solution awareness. We have goals, we have goal awareness, and then we have our pitch. This is not going to make a lot of sense right now, but do not worry. By the end of this video, you will have a good understanding and you will know all about this. Now, this is pretty much the structure of your call and what it's going to look like. You're going to have your intro to the call, starting out, what brought them to the call, you know, why they're there in the first place. Then you have your current situation, what they're currently doing now, past situation, what they tried in the past, solution awareness, what is it they feel like they need. Then you have goals, so if they had that, where do they see themselves then in the next 6 months? Then you have your goal awareness. Now, goal awareness essentially is challenging the prospect, challenging them on what happens if they don't get that, right? If they're still stuck in the same position, where's that going to get them? Then we have pitch, so we're going to pitch them, right? Whatever it is that you're selling, right? Whether it's B2C, B2B, whatever it is that you're selling. Now, your pitch is going to be different to whatever offer you're on, but you're going to pitch them, whatever it is you sell. Then you're going to handle the objections, and then you're going to onboard them into the program or onboard them into whatever it is that you sell. Now, this whole call, handle objection, onboard, everything should take you 45 minutes, right? 45 minutes. Sometimes if you're on with a chatter, you know, you need to get all this done in 45 minutes, because if you have calls, 2, 3, 4 calls in a row, you need to get all this done. Guys, as a beginner, right, these 3 keys are essential when it comes to your sales call. Number 1 is context. You do not want to sound like a robot. I'm about to go into detail about this frame, right? You do not want to sound like a robot. So you're going to use context to whatever the prospect has told you. When it comes to your questions, you use context to what they said, and then you line up your next question. Second key thing that you need is cadence. Cadence means you slow the fuck down when you talk, okay? You slow down, you think about what they've said. I see so many new guys come in, right? They want to be closers, and whenever the prospect says something, they're straight out again. Oh, yeah, okay. No, it just screams inexperience, and it just screams that you're scripted, right? So cadence, slow down when you talk. When the prospect tells you something, okay, you slow down. You think about it. Silence is your best friend on a sales call, right? Silence is your best friend. It shows that you're a fucking human being and you're actually having a genuine conversation. And whenever you slow down, right? The next one, tonality. So important. But whenever you slow down, then your tonality comes out, right? You slow down, then you're able to speak with the right tonality on a sales call, because tonality is the most important thing on your call. So context, cadence, and tonality. So this is what your questions are going to look like. Now, the first thing I want you guys to understand is this is not a script. This is a framework. If you're reading a script, where's the skill in that? If something goes up in the call, it's not in the script, right? What do you do then? So keep in mind, this is just a frame to keep you right on the call, so you have a general direction on where to go, what information you need to get so you can move on to the next stage. So for this example today, right, seeing as we're on the topic of remote sales, high ticket sales, we're going to pretend today that this is for a remote closing offer, right? That this is a remote closing offer. So just so everybody understands now, this framework can be used for any offer, for fitness, e-com, Amazon FBA, YouTube automation, anything in the e-learning market, and of course B2B software, everything in between. You can use this frame, but for today's example, let's just pretend that this is for a remote closing offer. Now, intro to the call. Essentially, when it comes to the intro of the call, right? So what it says here is what brought you onto the call. With this, right, you want to keep it natural. Keep it natural like it's a normal conversation. Whoever is on the call with you, right, they know it's a sales call. They know they're going to be sold. If you're taking notes, write this down. You always take the sale out of it. Whenever you're on a call, you never try to sell. You never try to sell, only on your pitch, right? You're never selling. You always take the sale out of the equation. So whenever you jump on the call, it's a natural flow, right? Most times when you are a salesperson, they fill out an application to get on the call, so you already know from your notes what's brought them there, what their pain points are, what they're struggling with. So for this, you want to keep it natural, right? So if they've joined the call, it's like, hey, listen, I see you're calling from the US. What time is it over there? Oh, it's 8 p.m. 8 p.m.? Geez, man, okay, run me through it. Like, what exactly have you been at 8 p.m. today? Oh, man, just been working at the gym and stuff. Oh, yeah, you've been working? What is it you do for work? Okay? And then, boom, that brings us into information gathering. That was just a natural flow. It didn't sound robotic. It didn't sound scripted. It was just a natural flow, right? Because that's what you want to maintain here. Like, I get guys and they jump on the calls and they're like, I just want to see someone have a conversation with you, see if you're going to be a good fit for us. Bullshit. Of course they're going to be a good fit. If they've got money for the program, they're a good fit, right? So, what brought you onto the call? Then we have information gathering, right? Current situation. Now, information gathering is broken into 3 parts. Current situation, past situation, and then we have up here, solution awareness. So, with this, right, we're going to start off with current situation first, which means is what are they currently doing right now, right? What's going on? What's the pain, right? That's what we need to figure out on the call first. So this is what our first part of the call looks like. So you break it down like this. What are they currently doing right now? Let's say for this example, right, that we're talking to Dave, right? Let's say we're talking to Dave, and Dave is a Sparky and he wants to get into remote sales, right? So he's a Spark and he wants to get into remote sales, become a sales rep, right? Start closing deals. So what are they currently doing right now? So it looks something like this. Dave joins the call. So it's like, so run me through it, Dave. Like, what brought you to the call? Yada, yada. He says, yeah, listen, I'm working at the minute. I want more freedom. I want to be able to travel. I want to spend more time with my family. Okay, perfect, right? So for you then, is that not something you're currently fit to do with what you're doing at work at the minute then? No, it's not. Okay, so what are they currently doing? That brings us into our frame. Okay, so like, what are you currently doing for work then, right? Dave's going to tell us that he's a Sparky. Now, in information gathering, the most important factor that we need to maintain here, right, is we need to figure out timeline. Timeline is so important on a sales call, the timeline in which that they've actually been doing their job. And I'll get into this in a minute why it is so important. So for Dave, timeline, as soon as you get what they're currently doing, you get the timeline straight away. So timeline, how long have they been doing that for? Dave's a Spark, how long has Dave been a Spark for? Right, for context, let's say Dave has been a Spark for 5 years, right? 5 years. Okay, just to keep the whole thing sweet here. So he's been a Spark for 5 years. So our next part of the framework is what's it been like over X time? So brings context into our prospect here. He's been doing it for 5 years. Okay, so what's it been like over the last 5 years that you've been a Spark? He'll run you through what it's been like, and then you figure out what the pain is around it, or maybe he likes it, right? Then again, is it something they see themselves doing long term though? Is it something that you see yourself doing in the long run? Dave is going to say no, because he's on the call for a reason, right? So is it something you see yourself doing long term? He's going to say no, right? This is like a natural conversation, okay? So why is that though, right? Why is that? When you're on these calls, okay, your tone needs to be curious. We're not here, we're not challenging him, you know, we're not grilling him. We're just curiously, like, just curious, right? If you're doing it for 5 years, what's been going on, man? Like, why do you not actually why do you not actually see yourself doing it long term though? Okay, so he will tell us why. Let's say that he had to stay on late at work, or he's not spending time with his family, or he's not getting paid what he feels like he should be getting paid, okay? So let's say that's the reason. You see, when it comes to if it isn't something they see themselves doing long term, we need to figure out why that is. I like to call this the catalyst for them wanting to make a change. So our timeline comes in again. So when did they notice they wanted to make the change, right? When did they notice that? You said you've been working as a Spark for 5 years. When did you realize over those 5 years that it wasn't something that you wanted to do long term though? See, our timeline comes into this, right? Let's say Dave says 2 years ago. Okay, perfect. So what, it was plain sailing for the first 3 years? What actually happened 2 years ago though for you to now feel as though it's not something you want to do long term? Maybe he says, I had to stay on overtime, or I fell out with the boss. Okay, perfect. We now have our catalyst for him wanting to make a change, okay? So important, we need that catalyst. This is the problem that he's facing for him to want to make the change on a sales call. If there's no pain, if there's no want to make a change, why are they going to buy from you, right? When it comes down to the call, why would they buy? So we have our timeline, right? Then we have the catalyst, so the reason for making them feel that way. Okay, so after we get the catalyst, after we get the timeline, right? So then we're going to go into information gathering, past situation, right? What they've tried in the past. Because if Dave's telling us that he's worked as a Spark for 5 years, he wanted to make a change. Now, let's say he wanted to make a change 2 years ago. 2 years ago because he had to work more hours and he couldn't spend time with his family, okay? So we're going to straight up ask him, so if you wanted to change 2 years ago, what did you look into, or what have you done to get out of it then, to try and spend more time with your family over those 2 years? Because 2 years is a fucking long time, right, to want to change. So that's when we go into past situations. So what has he tried in the past to change? Here we go, right? So what have they done? Context to the question, okay? What context? Okay, so you bring in the reason he wanted to change, because he wasn't spending time with his family, right? So Dave wanted to spend more time with his family, right? So context, right? So Dave, seeing as you wanted to change 2 years ago, because you weren't spending enough time with your family, what have you actually tried then over those 2 years so you can spend more time with them, so you can get out of sparking, right? So what have they tried? Then our next question on our frame would be, when did that happen? If you want to change 2 years ago, right? Let's say we asked Dave what has he tried, and he says, I've tried drop shipping, right? Because at the end of the day, this is the online space we're talking about. So let's say he tried drop shipping, okay? So when did that happen? You wanted to change 2 years ago. When did you actually try drop shipping though, right? Let's say he says, I tried it 6 months ago. Okay, because when did that happen, right? This again comes back to what I mentioned before, which is so important, which is timeline. Timeline is so fucking important on a call, right? So important, because then we can pretty much let him know, right? If you want to change for 2 years, 2 years is a fucking long time, right? And he tried drop shipping, let's say he tried drop shipping 6 months ago. What the fuck's he been doing for a year and a half, right? So then we can show him that he's being complacent, right? Because a year and a half went by and you've done nothing, only to look at drop shipping. But anyway, we're going to dissect this first. So when did that happen? Timeline, so important. Let's say he says 6 months ago, I started looking into drop shipping. Okay, perfect. So what was the outcome then? Okay, what was the outcome? So you looked at drop shipping for 6 months, run me through it, man. How'd that go? Right? Then why do they think they got that outcome? So if we say to Dave, right, how did drop shipping go over the last 6 months? Listen, it went good, I made 5K. Okay, perfect. Or no, it didn't go too good. At all, really, I didn't know what I was doing. Okay, so why do you feel like they got that outcome? Even if you make the 5K, okay, so why do you feel like you made that 5K then? Right? Why do you feel like you made that? Or if you didn't make it, why do you feel like you didn't make any money though? Why do you feel like you didn't get started with it? Okay? So what do they feel like was missing from what they wanted, what do they feel like was missing from achieving result? I'm gonna say that one more time because I fucking stuttered like a retard there. What do they feel like was missing from achieving results? So I like to break it like this, right? I like to say, so you made 5K. Okay, perfect. Was that the result that you wanted to actually make though when you set it out starting this? Okay, no, it wasn't. All right. So what did you want to make? And then go into, why do you feel like that was the result you made though? Why do you feel like you only got the 5K if you wanted to make more? Or if you made nothing, why do you feel like you made nothing though? What was actually missing, right, for you to make what you wanted to make? So that brings it on, right? Whenever they tell us what was missing, let's say he says, I needed guidance, I needed someone to help me, someone to talk me through it who was successful in it, to show me what to do. Okay, but when did you notice that you needed that though? You said you've been doing it for 6 months. When in the 6 months did you realize that you needed guidance to be successful with it, right? Let's say he says 3 months ago. Okay, perfect, right? I mean, like, what are we going to ask him? Okay, you realize you needed to do it 3 months ago? Okay, so common sense would tell us this. When you realize you needed that 3 months ago, where did you look to get that? This is the same as our frame from before. When you realize that you wanted to change 2 years ago, what did you look into to change? This is the exact same. When you realize you needed help and guidance to be successful with dropshipping, where did you look, right? To look for that guidance and to look for that help. This is, now it may seem a bit complicated now because you're obviously your first time doing it, but sales is just common sense. It's so simple. It's so simple. It's just like a common sense, you know, normal conversation. So many people get so caught up in what am I going to ask next? I need to ask this question. The prospect does not know a frame from their asshole. They don't have a clue what you're doing, right? They don't know these questions that you're running them through. So have a generic conversation with them. But again, this frame is just here to keep you right. So when they noticed that, right, 3 months ago, where did you look in to try and get that? Okay, so did they do anything to get what they felt like was missing in order for them to be successful? If no, they didn't look. I didn't actually look, no. But why? Why did you not look at it though? You said you wanted to change 2 years ago to spend more time with your family. I mean, was that not enough motivation for you to want to try and look into something else? No? Right? So that pretty much dissects that. Now, up next, we have, I'll move this board over a bit. Up next, information gathering, current solution. Before we go to this stage, okay, we need to cancel out all options here. All options. So what I mean by that is this. Like, we need to dissect this a bit further. So, okay, I get that. So for you then, do you feel like if you had that guidance and if you had that help that you would be successful with dropshipping then? Let's say, if he says yes, it's going to be like, okay, so why the fuck you want to call with me for? Right? It's like, okay, so why you want to call with me about this then? Right? Go and do dropshipping. Because you see what I'm doing here? I'm never selling. I'm always giving them options. Always giving them options. Like, why not go and get that and be successful? But he's going to say that he doesn't want to do it because why would he be on a call with us? Right? He's going to say he doesn't want to do it. So you're going to say, okay, I get that you don't want to do it. But I guess for you though, did you not ever think about looking into different sparky jobs where you could work less hours and be more local so you could spend more time with your family? Because jobs are free, right? This is a high-ticket mentorship. It's going to cost thousands that you're going to be selling. Jobs are free. So we want to run through what jobs, if you're looking at different jobs, okay? No, I didn't, you know, because I want to work remotely to spend more time with my kids. Okay, I get that, but there's remote jobs out there though. I mean, like, you never think about like a remote office job or something along those lines. Okay, maybe like, no, I don't want my pay to be capped. I don't want to sit at home on a desk working a 9 to 5. Okay, so now we've cancelled out the jobs. Okay, we've got the jobs cancelled on this, right? Now, before we bridge into solution awareness, we're going to be like, okay, so would you look into anything else besides this, which is what you're selling? Now, in this example, it's remote sales training. So, you look into anything else before this? No, I actually didn't. Okay, perfect. Now we can swoop in to what's actually brought him on the call. You cancel out all these options because if you run through to the end of the call and he actually like feels like he can still do dropshipping, why would he pay thousands of dollars for a mentorship when he can go and do dropshipping, when he's already got experience there? Or why would he not go and get a normal job because it's free, right? So when you've got all those options cancelled out, you're going to go into current solution. So again, this is going to be the solution to pretty much get him out of his job, to get him to essentially where he wants to get to, which is spend more time with his family out of his sparking job. Now, current solution, when did they come across it? Now, this is generic. When did they come across it? For this example, it's going to be remote sales, but this, in whatever you sell, it's going to be what you're selling. When did they come across it being what you're selling? In this example, remote sales training. So when did they come across it? Fucking timeline. So important again, right? That's how you came across this 6 months ago, right? When he started dropshipping, he came across this 6 months ago. Okay. So what have you actually, what have they been doing in that time that they came across whatever you sell? Obviously, in this case, remote sales training, right? What have they done during that time? You told me you came across this 6 months ago. Run me through it. How did you actually come across it? Okay, I seen a video online. I seen guys talk about it online. I seen a video on YouTube. Okay, perfect, right? And that was 6 months ago. So what has the last 6 months looked like for you? Have you just been on YouTube doing research, or have you just been watching, videos on social media, right? So let's say they say, yeah, I've just been on social media, been on YouTube. Okay, perfect. So what have they tried to implement? Have they tried to implement it themselves? So, okay, so with the research you've been doing then, have you been fit to get up and get started with this then? Or what's been going on, right? They're obviously going to say no, because they're on a call with you about mentorship, right? Or about whatever product you sell. Like, this is still the same as well. Like, even if it's like a fitness offer, right? Like some guys being like something fat cunt looking, to lose weight. It's the same thing, right? How did you come across us 6 months ago? Okay, perfect. So when you came across us then, like, were you doing more research into this? What did that kind of look like? No, I was doing research. I was doing, YouTube, whatnot. Okay, so were you fit to implement anything then from our videos online? Like, yeah, listen, I followed a bit of a data that you posted, and I followed some of the workouts that you done. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so why are you on the call with us now? So then you can get like what he feels like missing from the research. Beautiful. So pretty much, what do they feel like they would need to be successful? So you've been doing this research for 6 months, right? You told me that you haven't fit to get started with this on your own. So what do you feel like was missing from the research in order for you to get started? Okay, so let's say I feel like I need coaching. I feel like I need help. I feel like I need videos. Okay, beautiful. 9 times out of 10 in the e-learning space, you're going to be pitching all of those things. So this here, you are setting yourself up for your pitch here when you go to pitch this person, because you're getting what they need. So you need to be taking notes of this on the call, right? Or lodging this into your brain. So summarize, right? Let's say they say, I need a mentor, I need training, I need a community, okay, for me to be successful. Okay, perfect. Now, this is going to go back, okay? And you say you looked into this for 6 months. When did you realize you needed that, right? 4 months ago. Okay, beautiful. So, over the last 4 months, have you looked anywhere to try and get a mentor, right? Be surrounded with that community? The reason we need to ask this question is because he may have been on a call before for a different coaching program, and we want to know how that went. Why he didn't join, what the price was, what it included, what the 80 program would look like to him, okay? We're going to skim over this for now. And we're just going to go into then, right? If they had that, would they be successful? Now, this question here is going to bring us into our next phase of the call, which is going to be goals. So, summarize, if they had that, where would they see themselves in 6 months? So you want to summarize this bit, okay? Be like, okay, just a quick summary of the call so far. Okay, Dave, so you've been at Spark for 5 years. It was grand the first 3, then you were spending lots of time away from your family because of the long hours you were doing. You wanted to make a bit of a change over 2 years. You looked at the dropshipping, wasn't really for you. You didn't really have that help and guidance. Those office jobs weren't really for you either. You came across this 6 months ago and you were on YouTube, but you feel like you need a mentor, you need guidance, you need a community around you in order for you to be successful with this. Okay. Well, I guess for you, Dave, let's say you get all those things. Let's say you get the guidance, you get the community, you get that support that you feel like you need. Let's say you get all that. Where would you like to see yourself with this in, let's say, the next 6 months? So that's a quick summary of the call so far. You want to summarize to let the prospect know that you're actually listening to them, right? Summarize, then give the goal. If you had all that, where would you actually see yourself in 6 months? Because we've got the solution awareness. This is going to be the problem, the solution. Sorry, this is gonna be the solution to his problem, right? Mentor, guidance, and a community. He needs those things in order for him to get out of his job and be successful with this. That's the fucking solution awareness. Get up mush. So this brings us into goals, right? So where do you see yourself in 6 months? What's Dave gonna say if he wants out of his job? I see myself out of my job in 6 months, right? Perfect, right? I see myself out of my job. So what is the goal? The goal is obviously he wants to get out of his job. So how long have they wanted to achieve it? Timeline. Bring back context to your question, Dave. You were pretty much saying that like you wanted out of your job 2 years ago, right? Beautiful. So whenever Dave tells us he wants to leave his job, right? We are going to do what's called a financial bet. We're going to ask Dave straight up, okay, so in order for you to leave your job, Dave, right? How much would you need to be generating from this then to allow you to do that, right? This is just a small financial bet for you as a salesperson. So when it comes to the end of the call, you know if they've got the money, you know if you can tailor a payment plan to him or whatever it's going to be to best help him. So this is just like for a salesperson's point of view, just a small financial bet. So the goal is to leave his job, right? How much do you need to be making in order for you to actually comfortably walk away from your job and take this on full time? Okay, I need to be making 3K a month. Beautiful, right? So run me through it, man. Like you said before, you wanted to leave your job 2 years ago, was that right? Yeah, it is. Okay, so run me through that. Let's say you're hitting 3K a month and you're fit to leave your job. And now you're spending time at home and you're working from home, right? You want them to paint the goal to you. So you want to be like, okay, so I guess run that by me, man. Like, what's life kind of going to look like for you then when you are able to leave your job, when you are making money from home, when you have replaced your income? What's life going to look like for you then? Okay, because you want the prospect to paint that picture in their head. You want them to go to that place on the call, paint the picture for you, right? And make them see that. So, what's he going to tell you, right? It's going to be so good. I've wanted to spend time with family for so long. Going to be able to fucking walk the dog around the park, take the kids to and from school and whatnot, okay? Okay, that's perfect. Now you've bigged up the goal. You see, in goals, right? We're going to start to challenge this man, okay? We're going to challenge him because your job as a salesperson is to change perspectives. You need to challenge him here, okay, on the cost of inaction, okay? Cost of inaction, which is the cost of him not doing this, the cost of him still being in his job, still not taking action, still not being able to spend more time with his family. This creates what we call urgency, right? The cost of inaction creates urgency. Without urgency, without the urge to want to make a change, he is not going to buy. He is not going to buy. Because what's stopping him from being like, nah, fuck it, you know what? I'll just put the head down and suck it up, right? So we have to create urgency. This is how we're going to do it. So, how long they wanted to achieve this for? Contacts. So Dave, you said that you've been, obviously wanted to leave for 2 years, right? Yeah, I have. Okay. So, is making a full-time income, being able to spend more time with your family, being able to replace your income, right? Is that not something you'd be fit to achieve, working as a spark then? Like, no, definitely not, never. Okay, I get that. So for you then, right? What's it felt like for you though, Dave? Listen to my tone, right? What's it felt like for you though, Dave, that you haven't actually been fit to achieve that for the last 2 years though, right? Because he's wanted to change for 2 years. He's wanted to change for 2 fucking years. He hasn't been fit to do it. What's it felt like for you though, for the past 2 years, that you wanted to actually leave your job and you haven't been fit to achieve it? See the way my tone comes down there? This allows the prospect to open up, right? It isn't exactly a curious tone or a confronting tone. It's kind of like, I'm like genuinely like an older brother trying to help you here. Like, man, like what's it actually going to feel like for you though? Like, what's it felt like? The fact that you haven't been fit to change over the last 2 years. Like, you've wanted this for 2 years and you haven't been fit to achieve it, right? Coming from a place of, my man, like, what the fuck's been going on? Why haven't you done anything? It's going to allow the prospect to pour into you. It's going to be like, fuck, this guy's right. 2 years, I've done nothing, right? So what's it felt like for you for 2 years you haven't been fit to do it, right? It's felt shit, man. It's felt so bad. No, it hasn't felt good. Okay, that's all right. So now we're going to fucking come in through that screen, right? Fucking uppercut right hook to Dave, right? And this is what it's going to look like. But Dave, you're telling me it's going to feel so bad, but you've wanted to change for 2 years. Why the fuck have you not done something about it sooner? Now, we're not going to say it like that, okay? But this is what we want to portray to him, right? But Dave, right? If this goal is so important to you, of leaving your job and spending more time with your family, why have you not been doing anything to try and get out of it? Or, we bring in our context, because you tried dropshipping in the past, right? So, for you then, was that the reason why you tried dropshipping in the past then? So you can get out of your job? Yeah, I did. But what fucking happened with dropshipping? It crumbled, right? So, pretty much, it crumbled. So we're going to go into, okay, but let's say you continue in the path you're going, right? Continue with, because at the end of the day, Dave, right, dropshipping didn't work out. So let's say you continue in the path you're going, right? Which is doing nothing, you know, doing a bit of research, getting no results. You've wanted to change for 2 years. Let's say another 2 years goes by. You're still in this job. How is that going to affect you? Whenever you make the prospect look, I fucking know how to write this. Whenever you make the prospect look into the future, that is called a future pace question. Future pace them, right? What's it going to look like for you if you continue to go down this path for another 2 years, right? Well, obviously going to say it's not going to look good. It's not going to look good, right? Okay. So you want them to paint that picture, okay. So is that a position you want to be in though, Dave, in the next 2 years, right? No, it's not, all right. So I guess for you then, like, is that something you're really willing to settle for though, actually going by another 2 years and being in the same position, still not being able to spend more time with your family, still going in every day and working that spark job? No, it's not something I'm willing to settle for. So we need to change the perspective here. All right, Dave. So what do you feel like though needs to change on your end so you are not in this position in another 2 years, right? He's going to say, I need to take action. I need to stop being complacent. I need to learn these skills, right? I need to pretty much get started with this, okay? Which is what we want the prospect to say, because we're changing his perspective here to be like, well, like, what's going to happen if you actually continue to do the same bullshit you're doing? Because the bullshit that you've been doing has led you up to this fucking point of actually taking no action, of getting nowhere, and being stuck in the mess that you're in, which is not being able to spend time with your family, not being able to see your kids. So, what do you think needs to change then? He's going to give you the answers. But one thing we need before we transition into our pitch and pitch this guy is we need to know why do this now though, right? Why now though? I mean, like, realistically, if we don't have a why now, which is going to be urgency, you're just going to go off the call and be like, nah, fuck it, I'll just put the head down. So we need to know, but my man, you've been waiting for 2 years. What's changed now to make this so important for you right now though? Why not wait another 2 years, right? And he's going to paint us the picture. Honestly, I've just been seeing, you know, my kids come home from school, or I barely get to see my kids. They're coming home from school and they're asking where I'm at, and my daughter's getting a bit distant from me because I never get to see her, right? That's going to create more urgency, because now we know, like, why it's important now. Before we go into our pitch, we now want to use context to what Dave said before, right? So after you get the why now, why is it important now? We're now going to go into, okay, now you mentioned before that if you had the right guidance from a mentor and if you had a community around you, that you would be able to be successful with this, is that right? Yes, 100%. If I had that, I would. Okay. Well then, in saying that, man, I feel like we can actually help you here. And then you're going to summarize the call, summarize where he's at, where he wants to get to. We're going to create that gap, and then we're going to pitch him the vehicle that's going to get him there. So, Dave, summarize. You know, you're telling me you've been a Spark for 5 years. You want to make a change 2 years now because you want to spend more time with your family. Try dropshipping, that didn't work out. You didn't want to do any other jobs because you don't want to be working for someone else. You want to be able to have that freedom. You looked into this 6 months ago. For you, in the next 6 months, you want to be replace your income working from home so you can spend more time with your family, right? Because you want to set the goal and the emotion. So you want to be in 6 months, you want to be working from home, replace your income, spending more time with your family. Because this is where you're at. This is where you want to get to in 6 months. Okay, in saying that, Dave, I feel like we can help you get there. I guess for you, I can kind of run you through that if it's something that you'd like to go through, or if it's something you'd like me to run you through. Would you like to hear that? Yes, I would. Okay, perfect. So whenever you have the why now, you pretty much have the urgency there. You've tailored where he's at now. You've summarized where he's at now, where he wants to get to, how we're going to get him there. Now we're going to pitch him. Now, obviously, all you guys, your pitches are going to be different to what you're selling, right? But one thing I want you guys to understand is when it comes to the pitches, you have to pretty much, you're tailoring a solution here to the prospect's problems. We are not going to sit here now and make a list of deliverables like a fucking car salesman. Oh, it's got aircon, it's got heated seats, it's got cruise control. Like, nobody gives a fuck, right? As a salesperson, nobody gives a fuck about what you sell. Nobody gives a fuck about you. They only care about what it's going to do for them. So when it comes to this, right, if you're like, you have to sell them the destination, right? You have to sell them Costa del Sol. You do not sell them the fucking 2 connection flights and the 9 hours of traveling with no sleep and the shitty plane food sitting between 2 fat cunts, right? You are selling them Costa del Sol, the sand between their toes, the sunshine, everything, because the only thing the prospect actually cares about is how whatever you sell is going to get them to their desired outcome. In Dave's case here, it's going to get him out of his job and spend more time with his family. So whatever it is that you do, right, you go back on the call to what he said his problems were, then you tailor a solution. So remember you said last time that you were struggling with this? Well, this is what we're going to do for you is we actually have this, which is going to actually fix that problem for you that you were facing earlier on, okay? Now, do you see what I've just offered you actually fixing that problem for you so you don't face the pain and the problem? Yes, I do. Okay, perfect. So remember you said earlier on about this, okay, then you tailor up whatever it is that you sell. See, in the e-learning space, most of the time it's videos, it's coaching calls, and it's a community and whatnot. So that's like, for example, we'll pitch something like that, right? So remember you said earlier on about how on dropshipping that it wasn't that the YouTube videos you watch weren't informative enough. Even when you watch videos here, like you still were missing, you know, how to actually get started, right? So that's a big problem you actually see in the space. Guys go on YouTube trying to get started and end up lost. So what we've done for you is we've made you a full step-by-step guide of videos, okay? Break down what the videos, if it's a fitness program, whatever it is that you sell, break down how they're going to help them, how they're going to show them how to do the exercise, whatever it is. Or if it's an SMA offer, if it's dropshipping, if it's YouTube automation, it's the same thing. You break it down. Okay. Then of course you want to go into the coaching. Dave's a spark, right? So I'll break it in like this. Okay, Dave, so for you to be a qualified spark, would you be fit to get there by just watching step-by-step videos? No, I wouldn't. I didn't do the hands-on work. 100%. This is the same thing. We want to coach you, right? We want to actually coach you so we can work with you so you can do the work and give you constructive criticism. Then you pitch your coaching. Now, then, Dave, whenever you're on these coaching, you're getting coached, right? I'm sure, is there anybody you can practice with? You know, in the meantime, no, there's not. Okay, so then you set up the next one, community. How you're going to be able to practice with people, or you can bring in how, like, there's a small mindset wherever you're from. If they're from the same place, and that is very hard to find like-minded people, and then you set up your next one, which is going to be the next part of your frame, or your pitch, sorry, which is going to be the community, or whatever else it is you offer. See how, like, you're bringing context in. You're bringing context in from the pain, right? And then you're pitching a solution. So whenever you pitch everything that you offer, right? You then want to summarize everything up, right? So summarize, right? You pitched everything, you go, listen, Dave, that's it in a nutshell from me. Do you see everything I've just laid out for you? We're actually working out for you. Yes, I do. Then you hit him back straight away. Okay, but why do you feel like everything I've just laid out will get you out of your job and replace your income in the next 6 months so you can spend more time with your family? Not could, would, should, maybe, might, will get you there. Okay, why do you feel like it will get you there? Then he'll lay it out for you. I feel like it'll get there because of the coaching, of you're going to be help me do this, because you're going to offer me the guidance that I felt like I was missing before in the past. Okay, beautiful. Well, listen. Now, this is a phrase you can use before pitching that can handle most objections before you actually pitch. So you say, okay, Dave, well, listen, with everything I've laid out, where could you potentially see this going wrong? Okay? Then let's say he says, maybe I might not have the time, or maybe I might fall off. Okay? You know, you're now pretty much solving any underlying objections that's going to come up here whenever you pitch price. So if they're bringing up stuff like this and they're saying that I may not have the time, may not be able to hold myself accountable or whatever, okay, you always throw up an analogy. I like to use a gym analogy, okay, so an analogy an analogy is so important here because it makes them see. So I like to bring up an analogy and I'll say, okay, Dave, think of it like this. Let's say I'm a personal trainer and you're coming to me and you're saying, Conrad, I want a six-pack here in the next 90 days. Here's what I'll do for you, Dave. I'll provide you with the right coaching, with the diet plan, with the training equipment and the training program, but it's just up to you to come to the gym, do the sit-ups, do the crunches, do the plank, eating the calorie deficit, brother. Do you feel like coming into this that you will do that? No, I will 100%. I'll do it. Okay, perfect. Now you say, okay, well listen, that's it in a nutshell for me. Where would you like to go from here? If they're not saying, I want to get started straight away, I want to get started, I want to get into this, you've seriously fucked up. So they're going to say, okay, I want to get started. Okay, so summarize everything that you've just pitched them, right? Summarize everything, pitch them the price, shut your fucking mouth. Be quiet, okay? You be a queuing, be quiet. Don't even know if I spelled that right, but you be quiet, because if you pitch price and keep rambling on, I feel as though it doesn't give the prospect enough time to actually process the price and process what you've said. So you be quiet and then you let them speak first, right? So you pitch, you shush, bruv, right? And then you let them process it, because they need time to think, they need time to process whatever the price is going to be, if they have the money, if they don't, okay? So that is why you be quiet. Then you collect the payment, okay, and then you onboard them, and then that's it. That is exactly how you take a sales call. Guys, I hope this was of value to you. I hope you actually learned something. Now, if you're someone who's like me, and you watch videos like this, they will give you a good understanding. Now, some of you will probably be fit to take some stuff away from this and go on and use it if you already are closers, but you can watch all the videos of the day, right? I know myself personally, I need to be coached, because if you're going to take a fight and you go on YouTube and watch a pile of videos on how to box, how are you going to know what you're doing wrong? How are you going to know what you're doing right? Sales is the same thing. You need to be coached and you need constructive criticism on what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. So if you're someone who's in a similar boat to me and you feel like you can be coached, okay, by me, by my mentors, and receive criticism and receive feedback, okay, on what you need to do better so you can improve, okay? If you feel like coaching calls would help you, right? Being in the community would help you, okay? And actually being shown how to land roles and the best way to do it in 2025, and maybe even being presented with opportunities. If you feel like that was something that would definitely help you out in getting started in the space, I'm gonna leave 2 links below. I'm gonna leave a link, first of all, to everything we've discussed, okay? So you can access a Word doc and have everything read out, because I'm a fucking G. Second link I'm gonna leave for you is to my Instagram. After you've watched this video, if you feel like you would need help and get coached, you wanna get, 18 coaching calls a week, you want to be in the community of like-minded people who actually do this for a living and actually are full-time closers, and you want to be shown how to actually land roles the best way and maybe even be presented with opportunities, okay? Just DM me the word YouTube on Instagram and we can have a chat and see if you'd be a good fit for us to work together. Guys, I hope this was of value to you, and I'll see you in the next one.